Hey everybody, this is Marcus. James Gunn confirms that DC Studios is going to be separate from Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, this comes after the announcement that James is going to do several films for the new DC lineup, which is going to be the 8 to 10 year gap. Not to mention Superman Legacy, which is going to come out within a year and a half. But also, just for clearer context, DC Studios is still the subsidiary of Warner Brothers Discovery. So James Gunn and Peter Safran, they both have to answer to David Zaslav, who is the current CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. And of course, you also have to have their pitch meetings and their different ideas of what their future films are going to be like. So they have to actually have, meetings with each other to see what the next direction they're going to go towards. So honestly, guys, this is a great idea. I love it. I think it's great, especially with the new lineup that DCU is trying to do, especially what James's vision is going to be. I think it's a great idea. I know some fans have expressed concerns, and most of you guys even told me this too, especially if DCU is going to be as lighthearted as the MCU. So we'll have to see how everything goes, but I do know that James Gunn wants the DC Studios to be as epic as Marvel Studios on Disney's side. And so that's practically what his vision is going to be like as of right now. So he wants DC Studios to pretty much focus on storytelling, as he talked about on DC Comics YouTube channel, how he wants the focal point to be the development of characters and how storytelling is key. And so I believe in James's vision, especially given his track record with Marvel Studios. We'll definitely see how it's actually going to go. So I'm definitely excited, and this should be really great, you guys. So I don't think there should be any level of concern, just as long as the storytelling is just as important as the comics themselves. So we'll definitely check and see how they're going to do it, you guys. But I'll get into all this and more, especially what Comic Book Cast 2 was talking about. So we're going to check him out. But before I get started, I want to thank you guys so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. And for those who are new to my channel, can you do me a solid? Can you like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications whenever I drop a video. And we're going to always keep this thing rolling, you guys. Thank y'all so much for your support. It really does mean a lot to me. So without further ado, we're going to check out Comic Book Cast 2, and he's really awesome. Of course, I follow him all the time. He's great at what he does. And then on top of that, I follow all the other YouTubers as well, of course, like Comic Book Explain, Comic Historian, Comic Pop. Those guys are awesome. They're really great. Even though you guys think I'm great at what I do or I'm underrated, but I definitely want to give credit to where credit is due, though, for sure, though. So, but without further ado, let's do this thing.
Well, guys, in a brand new interview, James Gunn,
he's a wrestling fan too. We got the same belt.
That separation of DC content from WB.
And took out the old champions.
Real studio that's something close to Marvel Studios. James Gunn confirms DC Studios is exactly this. They operate independently and not really connected to everything that's going on at WB.
Yeah, so that was done previously too, though, especially what they were doing with the films.
This is coming at us directly from James Gunn. He's been doing the rounds, doing interviews, of course, talking about everything that they have planned for DC. And when the whole concept of DC Studios was brought up, is it just a name? Is it still WB? The answer is yes and no. He confirms DC Studios is a independent thing. It's on its own over here. You have WB over here. So just like Disney and Marvel Studios, it's all under the same umbrella. But what he does confirm is that they're operating on their own. Yes, the big parent company still can obviously call some shots, and they're the ones funding this. But DC Studios, with him and Peter Safran, is an independent studio that's part of it. They're operating on their own, calling their own shots, making their own decisions, and he hopes that this is another step that they have to take in order to be what people wanted DC to be, which is more like Marvel Studios. And this is good. Again, this is something people have always wanted. Independence.
I agree.
DC Studios to not be sort of under the umbrella of WB constantly going, hey, we got to micromanage everything. They're still going to micromanage things, but not to that level. They'll tell them, hey, this year you have X amount of money to produce content. Then it's down to DC Studios to take that and go, what do we want to make? They're not going to have WB stepping in going, okay, we see what you're doing, but you need to do this. And also sell this off over there because they're offering us $10 million. Right? That's how it was before? No more. So, yeah, DC Studios is officially independent.
And again, that's actually a good idea too, though, especially with trying to keep everything independent. And that's actually what James wants to do, is to basically try to keep everything independent with what WB had previously. And I know that was something that Zack Snyder didn't actually do, especially with the previous films that were done before, like Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, Justice League, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Those films are great. I still go back and actually watch those myself because as a superhero fan myself, they're my favorites though. But considering the fact that DC Studios, they want to make as much money as what Marvel Studios is doing right now with their content, they definitely want to have competition. And it's kind of like what they want to do in the first place. It's like with any competition. Now, be it if you're looking at restaurants, or you want to talk about like wrestling, for example, there's always got to be a competition. Like, for example, for so many years, WWE was the big corporation, when it comes to guys and girls wanting to make it big in the wrestling industry. WWE was the main focal point. Now, they have an alternative. You have AEW, who's been around for almost 4 years, and that's considered to be the dream job. New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom, all the other wrestling organizations. WWE is no longer the dream match, or basically the dream company to go to. Now you have other wrestling corporations that want to hire guys, girls, or different commentators, everybody else that wants to have a piece of the cake as well. So that's where competition pretty much comes in. Burger King, McDonald's, those are examples of like competition fast food joints, even though I don't eat those foods, but they're an example of competition joints as far as like competing with each other. Now you have Marvel and DC. Both franchises have been around since the 1930s. DC, of course, preceded Marvel. So, considering the fact that Marvel has been doing extraordinarily well, even though they've actually had these characters like Spider-Man, they've been around since the 1960s, but DC has had Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Justice Society of America. They've all been around since the 1930s. And the fact that they've been struggling for so many years of trying to at least do really well in the box office, of course, minus Aquaman, of course, but considering how old these characters are, and they haven't really been getting the exact treatment like Marvel has, and of course the big time heroes, of course, were Superman, of course, with him not getting what he wanted, but then on the Marvel side, you actually have Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, you have the Avengers, all the X-Men. All these characters have been around since the 1960s, and they've been doing really well in the box office. Of course, Captain America wasn't really a Marvel property to begin with, though he's been around since the 1940s, but still, he wasn't really a Marvel property to begin with. He didn't become a Marvel property after when he was, of course, was revived after the Ice Cap with being in suspended animation, with being revived by the Avengers in the 1960s. And so that was the reason why Cap has become a main Marvel stay. But I'm talking about the Justice League, Justice Society of America. Like, all the characters like Aquaman, Batman, Superman, all the other characters, some of those characters have been around since the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s for sure. And so now that we pretty much have like what James wants to do, especially with the new lineup that's coming up soon, basically that's practically what we're going to get anyway though. So there's definitely some hopeful as far as like what's going to happen with the future as well in the DCU. I'm definitely excited to see where they're going to go with this though. But now that you have like a good clean slate now, even though of course fans weren't happy with the recasting of Henry Cavill and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I think that somehow, if The Rock does come back, give or take, if he's going to reprise his role as Black Adam, it practically remains to be seen. But considering the fact that there's going to be characters that we know like Swamp Thing, Supergirl, Damian Wayne, Batman pretty much being reprised again, it's definitely looking pretty good for sure, because what James wants to do is keep everything in the same universe, and that's exactly what he wants as well though. So, but again, I'm excited, you guys. We'll definitely see where it's going to go. I'm actually hoping that with James's vision, that all these movies will do really well in the box office. Like I said, with minus Aquaman did really well in the box office. Of course, Aquaman made $1 billion in the box office. So that was only one minor Justice Leaguer that had its great success in the box office. And of course, give or take, James might give a chance to pretty much allow Jason to play Lobo, the main man, in his new DCU franchise. We'll definitely see how that's going to go for sure, though. So, but other than that, things are going to be definitely independent as far as like what DCU they're going to do, especially what James Gunn wants to do for his vision for the DCU. Everything is going to be independent. So we're just going to see how this all going to go, you guys. So what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, you guys, subscribe to Comic Book Cast too. He's great at what he does. Yeah, just let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and we'll definitely see how it goes for sure though. So, but I'm still your champ, and I love you guys. Y'all be good to each other, love each other, embrace each other. I love y'all. Excelsior. I'll catch y'all on the next one.